Nobody's listening, right? Hey, Andy.
Hey.
Is anyone listening?
Oh, man. Check this out. Jessica J821. Is it a bee or a bug? It's a crawler. I'm listening. Hope we didn't make anyone drive off the road last week.
Did you check? Do you now check your headphones religiously?
Oh, my. God. I want to tell you something. I'm so fucking stupid.
No, don't say that about the love of my life.
I have no memory. When you just said that a minute ago, and I'm sorry if I didn't acknowledge you.
You didn't.
Or if I was just like,
I actually thought you couldn't hear me.
It's because I thought you were just talking about like the headphones being too loud. And I was like thinking like, did we have an incident recently where the headphones were too loud? I wasn't thinking of the fucking bug that was in my ear.
Yeah.
And no, I haven't even once thought to check for bugs putting these on as many times as I have since we recorded that podcast, which is insane.
That is upsetting, especially given your kind of tendencies.
Yes. This is the other thing. I know we got great recording levels right now, by the way. This is the other problem. I know I say this to you that I like worry about my memory and stuff.
Yeah.
I just want to point out that this is a pretty good example. I was thinking of something else this morning that now I can't even remember. And it was that I couldn't remember the thing that I want to tell you that I can't remember. I don't have any storage left up there.
Yeah.
It's all full. I don't remember anyone's name. And that gives me so much social anxiety.
Oh.
You have no idea. Can I just tell you something?
Yeah, of course.
I went to Descanso Gardens, which is a place we go.
One of our favorite places in Los Angeles.
And I went there this weekend with the kids. And I literally, before I went, I just kind of sat and thought of all the people I might run into and what the hell are their names. And I first started with Wait,
can I just tell our people who are listening that this is like, it's not a public park or something, but it's like the list is vast. I mean, to try to capture the people that you think you could run into at this place.
Yeah.
It's not like, oh, I'm going to my friend's house and they're friends with so-and-so. This is like pretty much the list is everyone you've ever met in Los Angeles.
But we typically run into people there.
Yeah.
There's a few people that we've run into
multiple times.
More often than not. So I'm trying to do that in my head. And then I'm like, I can't remember his wife's name. What is his wife's name? Going crazy.
Is it Laura?
Oh, that's funny that you mentioned that. That's a nice one. I definitely checked that off in the box.
Yeah.
Yep. Had to dial in on that. What else? Wait. It's just crazy. I can't remember.
Did you run into anyone?
I saw one person I know, but I didn't say hi. And you know what was so crazy? It was someone from music that I remember his name. Wouldn't have remembered his wife's name, but I recognized his wife first. And it was kind of, we were leaving and they were coming in. It kind of would have been a weird time to like stop and go back.
Got it, yeah.
So I didn't make any social faux pas or anything. And I doubt he noticed me. And if he did, he would have done the exact same thing that I did.
Well, you would have been in another layer of hell if you were in my shoes this weekend.
Yeah.
Because I thought of you often, not only because people were asking me about you at every turn. I went back to St. Louis, Missouri
for the Show Me State.
For my high school's 25th year reunion. What are you looking for?
I don't have my drink in here, and it's going to be a big problem. I got to pause for a second.
Pause it. Okay, Andy's back with his beverage. Everything's fine.
Sorry.
So for anyone new who's listening who doesn't know this, I'll give the very fast background that Andy and I went to the same private school in St. Louis that went like kindergarten through 12th grade. So
I was there 7th and 8th grade. That's
You were there 7th and 8th. I was talking to someone. I was like, I'm not quite sure actually if he was there for 6. You were at Forsyth, right?
Yeah.
So, I was there for 7th and 8th grade, and I had a big crush on Andrew Rosen.
Mm-hmm.
And then you moved to Idaho. Never talked to you again after you moved. No interaction.
Yeah.
And then when we were 23 years old, you saw me out on the street in New York. I was not like selling my wares. I was going to, nothing wrong with that though. I was going to my graduation from bartending school party with my friend Pammy.
Mm-hmm.
And you saw me and you called my name and you ran up to me and said, I'm Andrew Rosen. And I like immediately was like, oh my God, my childhood mega crush, my first serious crush is standing in front of me. So the people who were at my reunion, a large swath of them knew you from 7th and 8th grade. And I think it was kind of a, it's a fun thing to think that I ended up marrying you because you left in 8th grade and then no one saw you. And you're kind of this enigma now.
Yeah.
And
I was
you were a cool kid.
I was a cool kid, and I was also very short, so people would remember the cool short kid.
Yes, you were.
You
were a bit of a pipsqueak, and you.
Pipsqueak? What the fuck are you talking about?
Well, someone described you like that.
Who?
I'm not going to name names here.
Why not? Put them on blast. Was it a guy or a girl?
A guy.
A guy said pipsqueak.
But it was in an endearing way. I remember him being kind of a little
pipsqueak.
Maybe he didn't. I don't know, but that was the vibe.
Who was the guy that said the sound?
I'm not going to tell you.
Who was it?
No, I'm not telling you.
Tell me. What does it matter?
No, I don't want to know. It doesn't matter. It really doesn't. But can I get back to what I was saying?
Once you tell me who called me a pipsqueak, and then we'll move on.
I actually now don't know if he for sure called you a pipsqueak.
Who do you think might have said pipsqueak, but maybe you're changing
Jeff Ernst.
Jeff Ernst. Don't remember him. Okay, let's move on.
Okay. He said it endearingly, and he then said, tell him I said hello.
What's up, Jeff?
Okay.
I do remember you, Jeff Ernst. I'm totally messing with Elizabeth.
Okay, so anyway, I'm going to give advice to anyone who is going to attend a reunion.
Okay.
Carve out 10 minutes. Get eyes on that yearbook.
Oh, that is smart.
Take a gander. Just 10 minutes.
Yeah.
Would have changed the trajectory of my life. Yeah. This weekend, now there are the people that you know, and but similar to you, and I think for a lot of people, I don't think that we are in I'm worried territory. I think a lot of people, the bandwidth of the pandemic, we just don't have the capacity for memory. I think those files are getting deleted or something.
I think you minimize my memory things, and it makes me think that this is a big plot that you have for me.
Oh my God.
Because anytime I bring it up, it is, I think I told you once that I almost started crying one night thinking about it. This is maybe 3 months ago. And I think maybe you were out of town or something. And I got really sad because I was thinking not that I couldn't remember something, but that oh no, I do have a hard time remembering things. I had this moment where it really worried me. I should maybe talk to my GP about it next time I see him.
Well, I'm not minimizing it. My answer is you should bring that up to Dr. Gordon.
Okay.
And then but I will say I have a terrible memory also for certain things. Mm-hmm. And similar to you, there's certain things that I can remember. This weekend, I went to lunch with my friend Annie and her mom, who was such a special person in my life. And we were talking about memories.
Yeah.
I don't remember much, but I do remember their house and I remember their trampoline. And a cat came up and I was like, oh yeah, cream puff, powder puff, puffball, snowball, Devereaux. And Mrs. Devereaux almost started crying.
Wow.
Because that's a thick name for a cat.
Yeah.
And I remembered it exactly right.
Yeah.
But then in the high school reunion, there were 3 events, and I I will say overall, it was an incredibly enjoyable weekend. I had so much fun.
Yeah.
I'm so glad I went. Everyone every 2 seconds was like, "Where's Andy?" And someone even was like, "Did you like rock, paper, scissors? Who's going to come?" I was like, "What?" Like people wanted you.
I was only there for. I didn't even go. It's not a middle school reunion.
No.
I didn't go to this high school.
So anyway, that got really annoying after a while.
That just like that so puts in perspective my like presence those years. It wasn't a pipsqueak.
You may have been small in size, but massive in imprint.
I want to circle back to being small after this.
Okay, so anyway, but people, it was a double-edged sword. By the end of it, I mean, I think I had a lay of the land as to who everyone who was kind of present was, because like the first night there was a certain number of people, most of whom I knew and recognized, but definitely someone.
What's the name tag situation?
There were name tags.
Okay.
There were name tags, so that was very helpful.
Yeah.
But it was a lot of the guys. A lot of the guys look like them, except for 25 years older.
Mm.
But like, I just couldn't place the names. And it's people that like, I definitely should have been able to place the names. But if I were out on the street and I saw like any one of these guys, I would think like, oh, I must know him he must be a parent at my kid's school or so. I wouldn't ever think if it weren't in this context. Then on the flip side of that is as I was hanging out with people more and more and talking, I was like, what I find so fascinating is that while I don't have super specific memories, like one guy was telling me like, remember in Madam Stanley's class? And I was like, Madam who? What?
Yeah.
And then I put together, that's probably our French teacher.
I hope so.
Yeah, it was.
Jeez.
And he's like, she had us read like Les and we did a blah, blah, blah. And I was like, how do you remember this? Like, there's no world where I don't remember any of my teachers, which is kind of sad. I vaguely remember some of them.
Mm-hmm.
I remembered Mr. Newsom, who I think passed away a few years ago. But anyway, long story short, my memory failed me at every turn, and I did a ton of, hey, oh, how are you?
That's
and then placing it together.
Yeah.
And the first night I really fucked up. There was a guy and, it was, hey, how are you? And I was like, what are you up to? And he told me where he lives, what he's doing. He came in from out of town also.
Mm-hmm.
And I was like trying to leave. And I was like, oh, I'll see you later. And he was like, oh, I'm not coming to the other events. And I don't know why I did this. I think I was trying to bridge my exit.
Okay.
Do you think I should not tell this?
No, I don't even know what I have no idea what you're going to say.
Okay. This was just very awkward. I go, what, you're not coming tomorrow? Like you flew in all the way from blah, blah, blah? You're not, I'm giving him a hard time. I don't know this person.
Okay.
I don't know why I was doing this.
Okay.
And then he said, well, no, I'm going to my mom's funeral. And I felt incredible. What is your face right now?
I'm just
don't know.
Taking it in.
I just felt like I said it was just horrible, and I didn't know how to handle it.
Well, it's only horrible if like you had been talking. He told you that during your earlier conversation.
And I was like, oh, why aren't you coming?
Yeah,
giving him a hard
shit about it. Yeah.
Oh, your mom's funeral, really important. Yeah, exactly. It wasn't like that.
Yeah.
But then I go, I didn't know what to say. And I said, so I guess she died recently. This poor guy. It's like, I found the exact wrong person to talk to. Anyway, and he said, yes, she did. So
it's quite a weekend for this person.
Yes.
Okay.
So anyway, outside of that, though, a lot of kind of faking it till you make it. But had I just done a scan, like, why didn't I think of that?
Yeah.
I would have been in a completely different position. But what I was getting to before what was cool was, regardless of if I remembered the name, I remembered all of these people after a while, for the most part. There are a few kind of outside of my realm in high school people that I didn't really remember. But everyone's essence was basically the same. And there was something really comforting in that. Now, like, behavior wasn't necessarily the same, you know, and obviously we all hope that whoever we were in high school, we've evolved and grown, and like maybe someone was a bully back then and isn't now, and that's great.
Sure.
But in terms of like the energy someone brings to interactions and how they're navigating dealing with the world, it was basically the same. So I didn't like, there wasn't, even though there was a lot of small talk in the terms of like, what are you up to now? Like, are you married? Do you have kids? Da, 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 da. But I also felt really comfortable just like getting into real conversations with people because I kind of knew what I was dealing with. Yeah. In a way that was really comforting. And I also found to be incredibly fascinating. Like, we are who we are. Yeah. Kind of, in a way.
Yeah. I think that's very true.
And that was cool. Yeah. And I want to, there's a bunch of other things from this weekend, but do you want to go back to the small guy?
Well, we can wait till after we finish with the reunion.
Oh, okay.
Well, because if you have more reunion stuff, this is non-reunion related.
Okay.
Yeah.
What else? Well, this was like outside of the reunion, but I also got to see kind of family, friends.
Yeah.
And one day, like, my childhood best friend Kendall's parents had me over and had my parents' other friends, who were their close friends.
That's very sweet.
Over, which was awesome, and so happy to see them. And they were telling stories about my parents.
Oh.
That, like, never even when I see my childhood friends' parents, who, like, that doesn't come up a lot anymore, obviously. But it was really cool because I feel like I got insight into who my parents were to people in a way that I don't necessarily. And I think you like write stories about who they are, and it's also kind of about who they are to you. Mm-hmm. But in my mind, my mom was this like really charming, social, tiny little lady who really liked things to look nice. You know, appearances were important to her, which is something she and I butted heads on. And while, but I thought she had, in my mind, she had this kind of undercurrent of being very funny and almost like irreverently funny in ways you wouldn't expect from who she seemed like she was. Also so loving and so warm, and like a lot of laughter with her in my mind. And then my dad, in my mind, is this kind of like stoic, quiet, hardworking, like incredibly ethical man who like saw the world through like there are ways to do things and be a good person, and there are ways to not. And it's like always choosing doing the good person way. And like, if you're going to do something, do it right. That sort of mentality.
Yeah.
And also very loving, but also I think, I don't know. That's just kind of how I see them both. They were talking about my mom, like kind of in a way that she was like describing her more as being like really prim and proper. Yeah. And another friend of mine was describing her to me, and like that she was like hard in a way that was really respectable. But like, I think what they mean by that is that my mom had expectations that she thought everyone needed to meet or something. Yeah. So almost like reverse, where...
Oh, well, what'd they say about your dad?
Well, so let me say real fast about my mom thing. I think this is all true, but it also made me feel even closer to her because I feel like I had a relationship with her that cut through, while like a lot of the expectations were on me and my sister more so than anyone else. Yeah. I also feel like, and I'm sure Anna Marie feels this way, I don't know, but like I got to see this other side of her that she didn't necessarily always present to other people.
Mm-hmm.
And that makes me feel like I had like an in with her, and I had a very special, unique relationship with her.
Yeah, that's awesome.
So my dad, like the stories that were being told, the first thing one of the guys said is, your dad had the best laugh and he loved to laugh.
Oh, that's amazing.
Which I was like, oh my God, he did have a great laugh. I do not think of him as like a love to laugh guy.
Yeah.
But I can see it, and it gives me just another dimension to him, which is very cool.
Yeah, that's very nice.
And they were telling a story. I guess they stayed at, these friends have a cottage in Canada, and all of them were staying there. But it's very casual. Like they're out on the lake and they're whatever, and it was really hot. And I guess my dad came to lunch, like to the table for lunch, like outside table, without a shirt on. And my mom lost her mind.
Amazing.
Just funny. Anyway, so there was that. And then driving around St. Louis, it's such a beautiful place. It's just such a different lifestyle. And it's funny because I think if anyone who lives there, which truly most people stayed, oddly, many of the people who lived there didn't show up to any of the reunion stuff, which was very weird too.
That is weird.
But I think if they came and saw our lifestyle, they would be like, ugh. Truly?
Yeah.
Like, this is dirty, and like, this is where they live. They live in these like huge, beautiful houses with manicured lawns, and for the same price of living as our lifestyle.
Sure.
Probably less, honestly. And I don't know how I could explain it, but I was it was so nice being there. It's such a great place to visit. I genuinely enjoy the people there. I am so glad to be back. I felt like so happy to get on the flight and come home.
Well, you explained it to me as you felt better than everybody there.
No, I do want to say, Andy, you have I don't know if this is something you bring to your high school class.
Not at all.
Because you, leading up to it, you were giving me these unsolicited pep talks.
I just thought it was hilarious.
You're like, babe, you are so hot. You're going to go in and show those bitches. This is how you were talking. And you were like, you're like a badass TV writer, saying stuff where I'm like, appreciate the support, but also I don't in any way feel the need to go prove myself.
Yeah.
It wasn't about that for me, but for some reason it was really about that for you.
I just thought
in fact,
it was...
we should talk about the hair.
The hair. Oh yeah, we can definitely talk about the hair if you want.
Okay.
I just thought it was so funny. And also, I just loved the idea of you going in with this swagger. I just loved it, but it was all in good fun, to be honest.
Okay.
Yeah.
However,
yeah,
there was a day I did a hair trial because I have a new haircut, which I like and you like.
It's fantastic.
And it's probably
Have we already talked about this on the show?
No, I don't think so.
Okay.
It's probably the most stylish haircut I've had before. And I went to someone highly recommended and for good reason. And he is a magician. And he gave me this great stylish haircut.
So good.
But I didn't know, I just don't do my hair. I don't blow it out. I don't curl it. I barely brush it, which is something I don't know if I should admit publicly, but I just kind of wake up and it is what it is.
Yeah.
And so because I was going to a reunion, and this is the first time in a million years, I wore heels, I wore dresses every night. It was very different from my regular situation.
Yeah.
And so I did a trial hairstyle because I was like, I'm not going to. What?
Sorry. Go on.
I was like, I'm not going to just roll out of bed and show up in a nice dress and heels and makeup and truly not know what to do with my hair. So I tried kind of a beachy wave with a curling iron. And I did it in a way where it wasn't like ringlets, it was like beachy wave. And you said like, cool hair that day. And I was like, oh, thanks. Then that night, you said, hey, can we talk about your hair? And I was like, I don't want to talk about my hair, but apparently you do. Okay.
Mm-hmm.
And you were like, I don't think you should do it that way for your reunion.
Yeah. Yes.
And I was like, what are you saying? You said you liked it. And you were like, it looks a little Midwestern.
Yeah. Yep.
Like you're trying to look like them.
Yes.
And you should just look like you.
Yes.
Which, I feel like there's nothing wrong. We've kind of had this discussion about like plastic surgery or whatever, where it's like your stance of me wanting me to just look like me is very nice.
Yeah.
But also you're dictating like what I can and can't do with how I look.
Sure.
Is a little troublesome, but fine.
That's not a thing in our relationship at all.
No.
This is one of,
this is maybe one of the first times ever unsolicited you said something.
Yes.
So was it weighing on you all day?
It kind of bothered me because I'll tell you why. I didn't want you, because I do think you are so gorgeous and a badass. Going back to this reunion, I was in my mind be like, I did think that the hairstyle was pandering to the crowd, where I wanted you to just be badass Elizabeth, who also has this incredible new haircut. So that was what was on my mind. So I legitimately, had those feelings and felt the need to maybe mention something, which I'm sorry if it was out of line.
Okay. No, I mean, I guess I don't know. Even
It's weird. I'm trying to think of another example for like me. Like if I was going back and
this is a double standard that stands.
But like let's say if I was going back and I got like an Izod shirt tucked in with like a multicolored like needlepoint belt and some loafers. It kind of sounds kind of rad, maybe. But
no.
You might be like, no, like what are you doing? I'm like,
well, see, if you were doing it, I would feel like it would be like you're putting on a costume to mock them secretly. I wouldn't, because by the way, that is the dress code.
There were some multicolored needlepoint belts.
Oh, needlepoint belts are, and see, this is the thing. We're sounding disparaging.
Yeah, no.
I love it. Like I saw I went and saw the girl I used to babysit, Kate. Mm-hmm. Every Saturday night I babysat her. I met her beautiful children, her husband, who is like the kindest human being, like such a nice guy.
Yeah,
and he had a needlepoint belt, and they met in DC and moved to St. Louis. So he
didn't get the belt until he got there, probably.
But I was like, you have the belt, you're in. You
mentioned the belt.
Oh yeah. I love the belt. So for people who don't know, in St. Louis,
and we also haven't talked about the belt. That's how big of a thing the belt is.
That
just
we
now.
Already know.
Yeah, we didn't already talk about this. This is blowing my mind.
In St. Louis, there are belts, and also keychains had a big heyday. I didn't see people's keychains, so I don't know if they're still around.
What do you mean?
The needlepoint keychains with the leather thing outside of. People would get their initials needle pointed on these keychains in different colors, but the belts are custom belts that usually the like wife or mom or grandma or aunt or whatever makes for the boy, and it's like with the things that the boy cares about, like hockey sticks and Cardinals logo and like pizza or whatever it is, all over the belt. So and then the person's initials by the buckle usually.
Okay.
So it's such a St. Louis thing.
Yeah.
But that's another thing, and I'm sure the people who live there feel differently. Outside of like our school, which has changed a lot because they've built all these massive buildings, the campus is out of like crazy. It's so beautiful and pristine. It looks like an incredibly fancy college. Mm-hmm. And I'm like, they're asking us for donations, and I'm like, okay, I'm donating money to a school that, like, my kids will never have even a fraction of access to what this school is offering these students. But
Right.
okay. So, the
You donated to the school?
yeah, it is for a scholarship fund. For
Okay, I can
so,
get behind a scholarship
yes.
fund.
And truly, I look at the school and I'm like, it is a fucking amazing school. Like
Yeah, but it's also, can I be disparaging or would you rather not?
Sure,
I mean, it's the epitome of white privilege, that school.
it is, but I will say, you know, in terms of diversity, like they do a pretty good job at my reunion. I feel like other schools like that across the country, it is truly just white faces, and that's not the case.
Yeah.
So there's something about that, but I don't know. You're right. Like, well, and that whole bubble is a white privilege.
No, yeah,
You
I
have
know.
no idea how many people I talked to this weekend that are like, I'm in wealth management. I'm like,
Right,
I have
right,
not heard the words wealth management in the last 25 years. And then suddenly in one weekend, I'm hearing it 17 times.
Yeah.
Like, and it does feel like whose house is, I mean, at some point, it's like, how much do you need?
Mm-hmm.
All of these homes are spectacularly beautiful and huge. Like,
Right.
so there's that element of it. But what I like is nothing has changed. Like, I wouldn't want to live there.
Yeah.
And in a sense, I think that's, I think a lot of people are living lives very similar to their parents. And I don't know, visiting it though is very comforting to me. Like,
I could see that.
I know where everything is. Nothing has changed. Like, I know the vibe. I know how things work. I know
Yeah, you know, to wear the belt.
about the belt. And I do think it is a very unique city, like place. And also, to be clear, I'm not talking about St. Louis, the city. I'm talking about this like wealthy part of St. Louis. That I'm very glad I got out of, because what I do think is a lot of people who are in that are so unaware of their privilege
Yeah.
that it's harmful. Like, I didn't talk about politics with anyone, but I knew there were people there who I was talking to that I was like, I know we view things so differently. There were a lot of people I talked to who I may have thought that about, but are liberal, and I feel like
Yeah.
have evolved beyond whatever that mindset is. But anyway, I was wearing my RGB necklace, and I was like, I dare anyone. No one made a comment about it, and you can't even really tell unless you're really looking. But given being on the heels of the Roe versus Wade news, I was like, I was anxious going into that weekend.
Yeah.
But truly, it was so lovely to see people overall. Like, I mean, there was no conflict. There was no drama. It was like really just nice catching up. There was one friend that I had lost touch with who was like very meaningful to me in high school, that I got to see again. And I think she and I both felt like, oh, let's stay in touch. Like,
That's sweet.
friendships, ebb and flow, and maybe ours can ebb again.
Yeah.
So that's cool. And it felt like a taste of home, and then I got to come home,
Yeah. Yeah.
which was nice.
And you like this home.
I love this home. I mean, right now, and then I came home and it was Mother's Day.
Yeah.
And I had like the most amazing Mother's Day one could even conjure up in their minds. I'm like so blissed out right now on my life that I know this won't last forever, but I think being there and having a great time, and then coming home to you and the kids and my life here, and I got to see my friends yesterday, and I'm just like, I am truly the luckiest human being
Yeah. I love
ever.
it.
You want to talk about being small? Small
Yeah.
kid?
Our daughter the other day kept asking me, like, am I having a growth spurt? Will I have one? I was like, hey, why do you keep asking this? And she's like, I'm so small. And I was like, are you small in your class? And she's like, yeah, I'm the smallest. And I was like, really?
Is that right?
I'm not sure, but she said that. And then I was like, our son, who's 20 months younger, I'm like, is he tall? Because he is catching up to our daughter in height, which is not typical.
He used to be tall.
And now he's like average.
Now he's average.
But anyways, it was the first time that I was like, oh, our daughter might be the small kid in the class, which I never realized.
Oh, yeah.
Which we'll have to. And I was like, you know what? I was the small kid in the class. And I was like, it's really not that bad. And she seemed bummed out that when I said that I was a small kid. But what I was thinking about is my parents, I think, did a good job with the small thing. There was one thing that my mom would say that irritated the hell out of me.
I know, because I want to say, I'm glad you're saying your parents did a good job, because I know what this thing is your mom said, and I think it's adorable and supportive and sweet, and I don't know why it irritated you and still does to this day.
She would say you're small but mighty.
Which I think is amazing.
And I think is a very nice thing to say. But for whatever reason, while growing up, it was like, stop, Mom. Like, I think it was like, I'm small, but you're mighty. I don't know. There's something about it upset me. That being said, I really didn't have a small complex. Do you think I did?
Well, I feel like you do now. Like maybe it's in jest.
Okay.
No, I don't mean you're not small anymore. You're average.
Okay.
You're very normal sized for a grown man. But when you talk about being, and like, for example, this is a tough thing for you to say on the heels of how you reacted to Pipsqueak.
Mm-hmm. This is interesting. Yes.
Like, and when you talk about small but mighty, or like, if I've said small but mighty, you have a visceral reaction. Like, you clearly still carry some residual, like, massive resentment about being small and that being a thing.
No, but I don't think I do. Maybe this is coming out that I do in your face, but let me go on. I never felt like growing up in middle school and high school, it never like weighed on me that I was a small kid. It didn't, I really don't think it like bummed me out. And I think I was like pretty okay with it and wasn't thinking about it that much, if that makes any sense. Whereas I think some small kids really internalize it, which maybe it's sounding like to you that I really did.
I just don't understand if you think that it didn't affect you that much, then it started affecting you when you were older.
So how does it affect me now, Elizabeth?
Because, I mean, not to be, like, you often have talked about how hard it was, like, you went through puberty really late, and you would say, like, I didn't get my man's penis until I was, like, in college.
Well,
like,
yeah, but that's
dating
just, I mean,
was hard,
that was my,
like,
when did I say dating was hard?
Oh, well, I don't know. It seemed like you were upset about that part of your body. Like, all of you was small, right?
My penis?
Yes, it's all connected, right?
Yeah, but that being said, too, I don't think I was, I mean, I guess maybe I was like, is my penis going to get bigger? Maybe I was thinking in like early high school, and it did, which was great.
No, wait,
I went through puberty really late.
Yeah, the puberty thing I think was hard on you, the way you talk about it now. And then the other thing I wanted, you talk about having pillows in your car to reach.
Yeah, I had
to see over the steering wheel.
Yeah. But I think I did. This is what I'm saying. Everything that you're talking about, of course I have to tell those stories. Like, I had to, the first day of driver's ed, the guy was like, you better bring a pillow next time. Okay. No joke. And I had this brown pillow that I used for a long time for driving. Okay. And also, yeah, I did. Were you like, I didn't fully go through puberty until freshman year of high school. Right? College. And like, I didn't get my man's penis till then either. Yes, these are all, but I'm not, just because I've told those stories doesn't mean like they were like this
Traumas.
debilitating traumas.
Okay.
I'm telling them because they're interesting and they are a part of me, but I don't think that like what I'm saying is I don't think I think it could have been much worse for me.
Yes.
And I think a lot of that has to do with I'm guessing my parents and the confidence that I had for whatever reason growing up as a small kid. I think I could have had a lot less confidence.
Yes. Well, that is what I will give you. You always had inner confidence in who you were. And, we just kind of, I think, did a good job of explaining what this world was in St. Louis, where we went to. You guys had to wear ties to school.
Yep.
Like, it was very kind of a formal situation.
Yeah.
You were the only kid who had like long hair, and you lived in like the cool, edgy part of town, and you had a poster of Prince in your locker, and you were into music and like different types of music than most people.
Right.
You marched to the beat of your own drummer, and I think that was very appealing. And I think, honestly, that's why you made such a big imprint. Like, everyone there is asking me about you. And it's like that cool kid who had so much confidence. Whereas I think in that world, even the most even and almost especially the people who were the like poster child for what the standard was to achieve, like the boy who looked like the preppy, like whatever golden boy, and the girl who was like the skinny blah 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 girl, didn't have confidence. Like, there's such a pressure to conform to this unattainable standard there in terms of who you are and what you do and how you act and blah blah blah, that it's very hard to have confidence in that world if you're the same, but especially if you're different.
Sure, that makes
and
sense.
You always had that, so I will give you that.
Yeah.
Sorry, I think I just reacted about that because I have never understood the small but mighty thing.
Yeah.
Because I think it's so sweet.
Yeah.
And I think I just interpreted that to mean that you were so hypersensitive about it.
Of being small?
Yeah.
No, I don't think it was that. I think it was like, it almost felt like this like cheesy thing my mom would say. And it's like, nah, like, I don't know.
It's like a platitude.
Yeah. I don't know. I mean, it's probably a bit of both, honestly. But my mom saying that, it doesn't strike me as this like, oh, I was so small thing.
Yeah, yeah.
It was something else about it.
Okay.
But anyways.
Well, since we're on this, I will say another thing, and people who are listening to us know I'm on this journey, and I'm actually in a very good place about it. There is so much fat phobia in that world. Like, I was going to get a breakfast gooey butter cake bar for breakfast. Nice. I was eating my way through St. Louis, and looking at the woman next to me in front of line, I'm like, this woman has not eaten. Like, I can look at her and know the draining mental and physical effort she is putting forth to look sick. Honestly, it's a sick look that's desired there. It means like you're whatever. And it's and there were so many comments made. I mean, like little comments here and there about the understanding that we are all working towards the goal of being thinner collectively.
Jeez.
And especially for women. But like, I can't even, I mean, I feel like I can say I was there for, 3 nights. Probably 30 times someone I heard or was speaking with someone and they said something about that.
Whoa, that's crazy.
It's like sometimes in that world, I feel like what's valued is how much money you have, which is hilarious because for a lot of those people, it's like generational wealth. It's not like they did anything. I mean, not that that matters either. Like how much money you should not define who you are as a person.
Yeah,
obviously. But even removing that standard, it's like, how can you think that you're better than someone because you were born into just having it all?
Sure.
And then the second thing that's valued a lot is just this very preppy, white, privileged appearance that for women means skinny.
Yeah.
It's the first time I went there and really didn't fucking care. Like, I didn't feel ashamed at all about myself. I felt
That's great.
confident.
You've also been looking hot.
Thanks. But I was proud of myself. I think that's real progress, because
That's awesome.
usually it can kind of be a trigger to me.
Yeah, yeah.
And when I heard those comments, instead of feeling like slipping back into that, I really had my wits about me.
You feel bad for the
Kind
people?
of,
you know?
yeah, yeah.
Yeah.
Yes, I do, actually. In fact, yes, I really do. So anyway, I feel like I'm talking a lot of trash about it, but it was so delightful. It honestly was.
Yeah.
And it was also fun seeing friends who have left and returned and, are, I don't know, kind of in the same boat as me. And anyway, so that's, speaking of that, there's someone, Sarah Hyman, who I went to high school with.
Okay.
Another great last name.
Fantastic. Did I not?
She and I both, I'm surprised we've never bonded over that. But anyway, she's no longer in St. Louis, but she listens to the show.
Oh, shout out.
I know. It was such a joy to see her. What were you going to say?
I don't know. I wouldn't sweat anything you're saying about this. I do think it's fascinating. I think other people have very similar experiences going back to their hometown or whatnot. It's also like it's also something that I guess we do experience it here. I think probably the life that we live now, people could really, kind of make fun of and niche in a particular way,
Yes,
of course.
like the Hollywood elites or whatever.
Oh my God. I have to find this person's TikTok. It's like a comedian, and it was like signs you're dating a sad entertainment boy in LA. And like the first one was a picture of these shoes that I have. And it's like, if not these ones, but like if they have these shoes, you might be dating a sad boy. And it's really funny. I got to find it. And then there was like another one that I had too, where I was like, Jesus Christ.
Well, that was, I will say, like my childhood best friend's parents, who were like parental to me.
Yeah.
This is the first time I've interacted with them where I think they understand that I'm okay. Like I'm working.
Yeah.
Where I think even though I was before, they didn't quite understand it and didn't know if it was stable. And like in their minds, it was like you and I are like starving artists. Like,
sure, yeah.
Which we were for a long time, but I could sense like palpable relief
That's amazing. But
we're okay.
The point I was going to make though is like all of these factors, be it where you live,
Yeah.
what you do,
Yeah.
the color of your skin,
Mm-hmm.
how much money you have,
Mm-hmm.
all of these different things, it really is interesting how all these different groups can form and have such specific things. And this like specific like kind of upper crust world of St. Louis
Yeah.
that you're familiar with is gonna be a little bit different than the one that exists in Atlanta.
Yes.
And is gonna be way different than the one that exists in New York.
Right.
And like it is just really interesting that these like the specifics of these
Little pockets.
groups, for better or for worse,
Yeah.
to examine is just really interesting. And exactly like in LA, there's a bunch of those different groups. Like we watched that Selling Sunset show, which we get such a kick out of, but it paints a picture of this like weird, I don't even know how LA world that
could not be different, more
couldn't
different.
be further away from our life, but
Yeah.
we're like fascinated. And it is a real thing for like
It is a real thing.
a lot of people.
Yeah.
And it's just, a few miles away. It's interesting.
Going to that aspect of it, it does make me have compassion for people who have different views from us, because so much of your views and values are just a product of your circumstance and your surroundings. And
Yeah.
like, I mean, even driving around there and being like, oh my God, these homes are so beautiful. And like envisioning us in one of those homes and then being like, or would I want that one? Or like, it's very easy to get swept up in like, I don't know, all of that. And by the way, I mean, can you imagine sending our kids to one of the schools? Like our daughter wearing like teddy bear ears to school these
Did she
days
wear them
and
to
a
school?
bow tie.
Did she wear the bow tie to school?
She wore them to the eye doctor this morning. And like her style is so unique. And even like someone was asking me how much a manicure is in LA, and I was like, oh, you know, I think it's this. I took my son and daughter to get their first manicures.
Do they give you a kids discount, or is it the same price?
No, there's a kid discount.
Smaller fingers.
But and they're like, oh yeah, and so, I'm not going to say how or who, but someone basically was like, my daughter, I had her nails painted, and then my son wanted them, and maybe I should have just done it, but my husband didn't want me to, and I was like that kind of blew. I didn't say anything. I was like, yeah, you know, it's whatever, but I'm like, that could not be further. That mindset, it just kind of took me by surprise. That's still like would even be a conversation, but of course it is there because that's the world they live in, and it's different. It's very different. But like boys having nails painted is, I mean, it feels akin to like my daughter wanted to wear pants, and I really had to think about like, what's the message I'm sending if my daughter wears pants instead of a skirt or something? Like that's how foreign it seems to me. But everyone is, you know, a product of their circumstance. And I feel very fortunate that I had exposure to other worlds before I entered that world, and then also after I left.
Yeah.
But it's a nice life. I'm not going to lie. Like you look at it and you're like, people are living that country club lifestyle.
Plus getting like Taco Bell all the time, which I love. Do you know what I mean?
I saw
it's like
Shake Shack there.
Oh, that's interesting. But do you know what I mean? Like in the Midwest, there's like, you can go to the country club and play golf, and then on the way home be like, let's get some Taco Bell.
Yes.
Like that.
And there's
that's
something about Midwestern food, like as a whole. I went to lunch and it was like a Mexican restaurant, but it was like Midwestern Mexican. And it's, if I took someone from LA there, they would be like, this is disgusting. But I love it. It's like, I don't know. It's like the Midwestern style of Mexican is so comforting to me.
Yeah.
But then I did get a bagel with cream, like an Asiago bagel, not from Breadco, but from an imposter place.
Mm-hmm.
I took a bite and I couldn't even eat it.
It was so gross.
I spat it out because the bagel was more just like a roll. It was very weird. Anyway.
I think that might have just been
Mixed
that
bags.
particular place, maybe.
Yeah. But I love the food there. I love the gooey butter cake. I
really want you to make ooey gooey butter cake.
Yes. Okay. I feel like we're just yammering on and on.
Okay.
There will be no more St. Louis talk after this. I promise.
You nailed it.
All right. Good night.
Good night.